Good evening and welcome to Sport at Prime this Sunday night. Well, Kathy is spot on. The mental health around athletes, that conversation in the country certainly has been in the spotlight. And for some sportsmen and women, weeks and weeks of inactivity certainly can take its toll on their psychological well-being. Newzroom Afrika Sports reporter Minenhle Hlela spoke to a sports psychologist, Lloyd Bemelman, who shared his insights on the matter.
Thanks for joining us here at Newzroom Afrika. Obviously, the lockdown on the sporting world completely shutting it down from a business perspective, but not a lot of people are talking about the athletes themselves and just psychologically how might this be affecting them not being in action. If you look at the football guys and you look at the rugby guys, they were in the thick of things of their season and now they find themselves sitting at home and not participating in any action.
Yeah, no, that's right. Thanks, Minenhle, for having me on. It's very nice to talk to you and tell you a little bit about how I work and what's been my experience with the athletes. No, you're perfectly right about the financial concern. I think soccer, especially the deal with super sport, that's been a couple of billion in the mix, and they've got no coverage. We can't turn that away and turn a blind eye. It's very interesting. But on the other side, the athletes, they all have to kind of discover how they're all interconnected with different people. It's the African ubuntu, I think it's called, and we're all connected when how connected we can be, and perhaps how connected we haven't been over the years with different people. And I think a lot of the athletes, it is difficult for them. They're all struggling with motivation, and they struggle to get going. But they have this opportunity to get in contact with each other, and that's something that they've taken for granted before, that in a team environment you just get that all the time. But I think to keep going with that and keep nurturing it is very important in the motivation process, because if you lose sight of that, then that's when things start to happen and you start to get demotivated. Yeah.
Is there a way that one can keep that motivation going, to ensure that adrenaline rush that they have once they're in the sports field is not completely lost, and use techniques and mechanisms to improve their sharpness, or to ensure they still have that mindset that they're still in the game, so when action does resume, that it doesn't take too much for them to get into that gear of performing?
Yeah, look, there are a lot of things that they need to carry on with. Their mental training needs to carry on happening while they're not performing. And even when everyone is in isolation, they need to carry on with the mental training, because if you, the marathon runner this year who broke that barrier, Eliud Kipchoge, he said that you need to be an exceptional physical athlete and have a good head on you, be mentally strong and mentally fit. So there's a lot of training that they can do during the off season and when they're in isolation. So we experience life in our minds, our brains, and whether you're explicitly aware of that, or you know about it, or you don't like talking about it, we all know that it's the case. I think I've got to a stage at the moment where I can help any athlete that wants to be helped. You need to be open to chatting and sharing experiences with other people, because that's quite frankly the only way you can get through to someone.
Lloyd, you're in this industry. What do athletes share with you the most difficult thing that they find currently, by being at home and not being active at all?
Well, it's the motivation that they find. They aren't really motivated, and they miss the social engagement with each other and the team environment. So I think the team sports, I wouldn't say they're less, but they have each other and they have people to go through the experience with themselves. It's athletes that a lot of the Olympic athletes are on their own. The triathletes and the swimmers, they have a coach and they have ways of going about it, but at the end, it's their experience and it's all of their performance that's weighted on their shoulders, and it's them on their own who has to come through with the result, and that's their livelihood and everything that they work for, towards on their shoulders.